lives one day at a time. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. They're here to get your day going fine. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. And here's your host, Miss Kim Robinson.
Took me a while to get to this place. I'm so glad I'm in this space, accepting all my flaws, embracing authenticity, 'cause there's nobody quite like me. Oh, I like being me. So I'm created to be original, not to copy. I'm gonna clap on me, to love again. Gonna celebrate this life, walking who am I supposed to be? Refuse to give up on me. To love again. Gonna celebrate this life, walk and live. Every trial that came my way, I was searching for a brighter day. That day's finally here. That day's finally here. Through life's struggles, ups and downs, I'm so glad that I have found love that's unconditional. Yeah, all I went through prepared me. All God wanted me to be. I'm gonna clap on me, to love again, love me again, celebrate this life, walking who am I supposed to be? Refuse to give up on me. To love again, to love me all over again, celebrate this life, walk and live. Oh, it's incredible. This joy is unspeakable. Living life with no regrets. Each blessing was a blessing. I'm gonna clap on me, love again, celebrate this life, walking who am I supposed to be? Refuse to give up on me. Love again, celebrate this life, walk and live. I'm gonna clap, 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 learning to love all over again, celebrate this life. I'm gonna, yeah, clap, 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 clap for me, celebrate this life for me, learning to love me over and over again, yeah, clap, clap, clap. I'm gonna celebrate me, celebrate this life. I dream to big, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, clap, clap, clap. Gonna celebrate this life. Walk and live, gonna give my life.
Happy Saturday, happy Saturday, happy Saturday. Thank you guys so much for joining Next Level with Trenace. I am so happy that you are spending 60 minutes, give or take, of your 1,460 minutes of your Saturday with me. Today's special guest is Stacey Carr. Stacey, thank you so much, Stacey, for joining us. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Happy Saturday, Trenace. When you break it down in those minutes, that's awesome.
Yeah, I like to know someone is actually investing in a small break in time to learn a little bit about something new or get some new information or some new inspiration. So it can only take 60 minutes of that time to gather it up. So, Stacy, I would really love for you just share a little bit about yourself with my guests, with my listeners. I apologize.
All right. I'd be happy to do that. So my name is Stacy Henry Carr, and I am a life coach, and I'm a certified hypnotherapist. And I help people to gain their clarity. And there's a lot of people out there looking for a roadmap. And that's what I do. I help people to gain clarity through doing their root cause analysis. So I help them to find their root cause of what might be holding them back. And I help them to visualize that next step. And as your show is, the next level. And I help them, I guide them through setting up their plans and setting up their movement so that they could move away from whatever is making them stagnant and move on to their next. So I'm a mindset coach and a hypnotherapist. I'm also, most importantly, a mom. I'm a mother and a wife. And, you know, as we talk about what we're going to talk about today, Trenace, you'll see why it is so important that I let people know that I have children. And the next thing I want to tell you about me is that I'm also an author. I wrote a book, self-published on Amazon, called Live Your Truth and Break the Cycle. And that book is about overcoming and my journey through overcoming child sexual abuse and abandonment, and where I am now, standing firm and thriving and helping others to move out of corrosive legacies to standing firm into productive and constructive legacies.
This is going to be such a juicy conversation. Saturday just could not get here fast enough for me to share you with everybody. Because, man, the life coach thing, let's talk about the hypnotherapist part, because that's the part to me that's so intriguing and interesting. Let's talk about the hypnotherapist and what exactly that entails, and what made you make a decision to become a hypnotherapist?
Okay, so that hypnotherapy is something that I fell into, and I'll explain what I mean by that. As I started working on investing in myself, and as you talk about investing 60 minutes just to learn things, investing in ourselves, even 60 minutes like this, is the best thing we can ever do for ourselves. So as I was building my coaching experiences outside of corporate, because I have 20-something years of corporate coaching, but I wanted to build it outside of corporate, I decided I was going to start looking for some certifications, and I was going to look for any type of schools or anything I can learn and build that muscle. And as I was doing that, I ran across Marissa Peer, Marissa Peer. She is a renowned hypnotherapist, and she is based out of the UK. But I ran across her one day in my social media feed, and I remember just feeling compelled to press that button, and I pressed that button, and she started talking. And I started listening, and she started vibing, and we were vibing, And
right.
As I started listening to what she was saying, Trenace, what grabbed me was there were a couple of things that grabbed me, but the most profound one were she was talking about helping people to get over trauma or get over things in their lives that's been plaguing them for a very long time by teaching them how to change their mindset. And as soon as she said that, I got excited. I was like, yes, that's it right there. But the twist she threw in is doing so by doing hypnotherapy, where you hypnotize your client and have your session from a where they're coming from a subconscious place. So as my client, Trenace, you would go into hypnosis and no, it's not that thing you see on TV where people are quacking like a duck and barking like a dog, you know. It's not that. It's really you still being very much so in control of the therapy session, but you're doing it more from a subconscious place. Things that you might have buried will surface because now your mind is more suggestible and free and open.
That is just so interesting that you said quack like a duck. So you won't be collecting anybody's ATM card passwords or any of that, right?
No. No, I will not. It is not. It is definitely not that type of party. It's not what it's made out to be. It is very much you still in control of what your thoughts and still being able to hear yourself speak. It's just that your mind is in what we call a relaxed state. And the more relaxed you are, the more open you are to deep dive and go deeper into things that, you know, been holding you captive for many years. You know, we all have those things.
Yes, we certainly do. And sometimes we just hide them on our own, maybe from shame, maybe from not understanding, or even from hurt. We just put it away for later or even for never.
Yes. And can I speak on that? I want to speak on that because, you know, when we pack away or what I call suppress or hurt, and I'm speaking from experience, you know, if you're listening audience to hear me speak, this is a woman who packed a lot of hurt before she unpacked it, you know? And so when we are packed with all of that hurt, whether it be from trauma, childhood trauma, or even adult trauma, you know, because a lot of us have gone through incidences as adults that's keeping us what I called trapped. We are not able to up level or level up or next level, as you call it, Trenace. We're not able to really move to the next level or what I call the better version of who we were born to be. And I said born to be because a lot of people forget that when they were born, they came into this earth just as innocent and pure and destined to be great, right? And so we pack on all of this stuff, and sometimes we don't pack it on ourselves. So don't get me wrong. I know a lot of times we get, you know, thrown some bad things come at us that we didn't buy. As my husband would say, we don't buy illnesses, we don't buy trauma. So we didn't buy it. We didn't go out there and say, I want that, give it to me, here's my money. It came to us. But while we are walking around with that load, we can't move forward. We are like stuck in this spiral of negativity, in this spiral that we can't progress. And so the shame that you're feeling now and the guilt that you're feeling now, if you root cause it and dig deep and what I call feel it to heal it, bring up all that mess, let it up, and then be able to work through it so that you can get to the other side, then all of that stuff that you're going to feel when you bring it up is going to be worth it.
That is so good. And the thing about what interests me about hypnotherapists, because I like to look at a lot of different things to at least have some education or some information, or as my great grandmother used to call it, just being nosy. That was you hit the nail right on the head based on the description of what it's supposed to do. It's not supposed to make you empty your pockets like in, what was the name of that movie? Now You See It, Now You Don't. there was a hypnotist as a part
Yes.
of the magician team.
Right.
So thank you for explaining that. I think the thing about fear is we fear things that we don't have knowledge of or of what someone showed us, and that's the only thing that anybody has ever shown of hypnotherapists. And I'm going to teach you're going to be barking like a duck. We're going to make you get your money out your pockets, and it's just like it's a game where somebody is going to get something from you versus what you described as let me get something to you.
Yeah, and that's the best way you could ever put it, Trenace. It is definitely about you, and you have to be comfortable. You have to be comfortable with the person you're dealing with. And one of the things that I loved when I went through the certification, and I mean, it was hours and hours of me observing other people being hypnotized myself. So me being able to tell you what it's like, it's because I felt it. And it is definitely not what the movies make it out to be. And it is when this therapy, it's called rapid transformational therapy. And listen to the words, rapid. It's because we're not looking to have you come to us for counseling every week for years. Rapid transformational therapy is designed with hypnosis so that we can come up with a cure sometimes as quick as one session, but, as many as maybe 4, because it is so important nobody wants to come and sit in a counselor's office every week, all week. We do it because we have to. We do it because we're looking for healing. And I definitely encourage people to do what they need to do. But if you can make that process shorter and less money, that's the way. That's the way to go. And so that's why I was so attracted to this.
That is so dope. And it's as I called it the other day, hippy dippy. This is some new this is some new age, next level mindset thing. And I'm hoping that more people will investigate in what the theories, or even try hypnotherapy at least one time and see what it does for them, how it makes it a game changer for your mindset, and how it frees you of some of those broken places, because it fills in, like I like to say, fills in that space like the Chinese teacup where they don't throw the teacup away. They just pour gold inside that broken space and fill it up to fix it.
Yes, it fills the cracks. I love that. And the beauty of that, too, is that when people come as a client, they can come for any ailment. They can come for the fact that they want to quit smoking. They can come because they want to lose weight. Because what you do is you walk away, Trenace, not with just me hypnotizing you and you pouring out your subconscious hurts, but you walk away with what we call the cure. And the cure is you walking away with a 20-minute affirmation of me telling you that your mind is wide open to making the change, whatever change you want to change. So if you're looking to eat healthy, then you're going to walk away with a 20-minute cure that you're going to listen to, because your mind is going to remind you to listen to that every day for at least 21 days to create your habit. And so you don't just come and dump your emotions on me and then you're gone. You come and you release them, not lose them, because you don't want to lose your emotions, because if you lose them, you could find them. Like if you lose your keys, do you really want to find that? You find the keys, but if you lose your emotions, that's trauma. Do you really want to find that, right? So I encourage clients to don't lose your trauma. Don't lose your hurt, release, and then replace them with something good. And so that's what the cure is all about, is replacing all of that junk that you're going to release with something positive, something affirming, and something good.
That is great. Let's move into let's talk about your work and why it's so important to community.
So my work, I'm going to touch my past traumas a little bit, and that will help you to really understand my passion around my work. So my work as a life coach and my work as a hypnotherapist that get into your mindset change really comes from a place where once upon a time I was packed with the pain, because as a child I was sexually abused, and I also came from a home where my grandparents raised me because my parents were teenagers. And so I grew up knowing, and I knew it, that something was missing. But, I had my grandparents, and they were awesome. They were they were to me what my parents would have been if they were old enough to really handle their responsibilities. And my grandparents were awesome. So I grew up in a great environment as it pertains to feeling that somebody loved me and cared for me. But I always knew there was a gap. There was an empty space, and that's where the abandonment came in. And then listen to what I said. It's a double-edged sword. I said I grew up in a great environment, right? But I also told you that I was sexually abused. That sounds a little conflicting, right?
Right.
Okay. But my environment, where you have grandparents raising all of their grandkids, it was a crowded environment. There was aunts and uncles and cousins and all these, extended family. And I learned that that's a breeding ground for dysfunctions such as sexual molestation. And so when I was motivated and charged, like I was just ready, I was ready to just jump in and help and fix. And I've always known this about myself, mind you. But as I got older and I became braver and emotionally stronger and knew that I could step out and not only can I share mine and release it, but I can share mine to help somebody else. And so when I talk about why my work is important, it's because it's going to help to guide people and support people to get to that next level action where they don't feel like they have to hold on to all of that drama and trauma. They don't have to hold on to all of that pain. And you have somebody who can guide you but have been there and have come out on the other side.
That is great that you have there was some intuition in that decision and pushing that button to reach your next level. There was some intuition in needing that growth.
Yes.
There was some unction, something motivated you on the inside to flip that switch. What do you think that might have been?
I love that question, sis. Listen, it is, you remember earlier I introduced myself and I made sure I made a point of telling you that I was a mom. I wanted your audience to know that I was a mom. I wanted your audience to know that I was a wife, because when you are solo and you're doing your thing by yourself and you don't have the responsibilities of a family or your husband or anybody around that depends on you, you see life through different lenses. You see life from a different perspective. But for years, I'm going to tell you my motivation. So stay with me, listeners. I'm going to tell you my motivation. So for years, I would say I wasn't going to have any children. I bought me a nice little fluffy Shih Tzu named Deja, and it was me and my dog and my single life, and I wasn't going to have kids. And people would say, why aren't you considering children? Why aren't you considering a marriage? Why aren't you considering family? And I said, because this world is too ugly. Who wants to bring a kid into this world? I will never, and this was me, I'll never bring a kid into this world to go through some of the things that's out there in the world. But in hindsight, it wasn't about the things that were out there in the world. It was about the things that happened to me in my world growing up. And so I was like, I'm not bringing the child into this world because I don't want the child to feel abandoned. I don't want the child to be subjected to child molestation. I don't want the child to feel lonely. And I could go through the list of the things that you feel, the insecurities that you have and get after you've been through some of the things that I've been through, or some of the things that listeners you're going through or have been through. And it gives you a plethora of negative feelings and emotions. So let me go back. To my why. My why was my family. So once I met my husband and my now husband, and we got married. Before we got married, I told him, well, I'm not having any children. I just want you to know. I hope you're okay with that. And he had a son that was 6 at the time, or 5.5. And, my husband said, before he became my husband, he said okay, but I could see it in his eyes that he did not believe that to be the truth. And I don't know how to explain it, but I could see it in his eyes. But he went along with my foolery, as we may say, and we got married and we moved on. 2 years into the marriage, maybe 2.5 years, I looked at him and I said, I think I'm ready to have a baby. And he said, what? So anyway, that was a good laugh and a good what. I knew it. But my why was the baby that I was going to have. The child that I was going to bring into this earth deserved the legacy that I was going to leave her to be completely different than the legacy that I was given. And I wanted it to be constructive. I didn't want all of that. Don't get me wrong. Nobody's life is perfect. And I'm not expecting my baby girl to have, who's now going to be 11, by the way, to have a perfect life. Nobody's life is perfect. But what I wanted to do with intentions, is create an environment where her legacy was going to be one that she's proud of. And so that was my why. First, I started home. Start with your family, with your life, with your children, including my stepson, who is my son. He's part of our family and lived with us and became a part of me. And then now, once I've done that, I can give it to the world. I can put it out there to other people to show them how I moved from that place to this place. And that was my why.
That is a good, well, that's not even a good why. That's a tender, super great why. I think if we can learn to activate our why and then cultivate that why, I think that would allow us each to make better decisions. And a serious why, not just a surface why, a dig down deep in your soul type of why that strengthens you to move on when fear is in front of you, that strengthens you to move on when the world around you seems like it's on fire. That why motivates you to keep going, because I believe that the things that you see are just a distraction. They're just a detour. They're just a stumbling block, a hill, something to prevent you. But that why motivates you to run right through whatever, the fire, the house in the fire.
Yes.
It allows you to run right through it and then dust the ashes off after you're on the other side. That is so great.
Yes.
So we've talked about the hypnotherapy. Let's talk about the life coach part, because I know that has to be a different kind of take to know that you have hypnotherapy in your tool bag that you can attach in some type of way to coaching, versus you're not hypnotizing it, but it gives you some good questions to dig down in your heart type questions to get answers for, and for that your person to even look at a little bit differently.
Absolutely. So life coaching, so like I said earlier, right, I had been coaching in the corporate world for many years, and 20-something years, and then I left corporate America, which was really part of my push, that nudge, that feeling, when your passion is ignited in you and you sit in the office, like, yeah, I'm here making this money, and then one day you just get really uncomfortable. And that discomfort that you're feeling is a nudge. I call it God's way of telling you it's time to roll out and do what I put you on this earth for. So
exactly.
So that's how I became, a life coach. And you're right, the hypnotherapy part takes me to the mind. And, it's two separate entities of what I do in my business of helping people. But the life coach part of it is where I guide you and I give you help you to build a roadmap. And I don't necessarily give you the answers. I help you to come up with the answers. And as I'm guiding you through that, because I have that part that I understand how deep the mind works, I can interweave some of that into the work that I give you, or the things that I guide you toward. And right now, just so you know, I am a student at the Jay Shetty Certification School. And Jay Shetty, you know him to be, if your listeners don't know who he is a young man that used to be a monk, and he's out there doing the motivational thing, right? And I joined his certification school, and almost there, and so pretty soon you're going to have Stacey Henry, the certified life coach and the certified hypnotherapist. But the coaching framework that I'm coming from, Trenace, is no different than the awareness that we're looking for in our life, auditing our life, and setting goals and being consistent about moving forward with the things that we're trying to accomplish. And so that's how I attack my life coach clients, and that's the guidance I give them. But you're right, having the hypnotherapist knowledge on the other side, they just really help each other. It's a perfect balance, in my opinion.
That was something that I hadn't even really thought about, but that was very. It just seems like that would be a natural marriage, I guess, if you could call it a marriage.
Right.
So when we had our conversation, this is why I was so excited to share you with everybody, because I think that our community, we think the same thing all the time, but we want something new. And to me, this was something new. Now, hypnotherapy has been a while around. It's not something new that's just popped up. It's just making its new surgence at this point. And I just thought it was so interesting, especially at this time. We want change, but there's something within us that's preventing that 100% change that we actually want. So that's what I thought about hypnotherapy, and then the marriage of the life coach, because in order for things to change, you can't keep doing the same thing. You can't keep doing the same thing.
That's insanity at its best. That's insanity at its best. When we keep doing the same thing over and over, and yet we are verbally saying we want a different result, and we can't get it. It's absolutely not possible. And so, our community, we shy away because how we talked about my background and that part where I say, I had a good environment, and yet I had sexual molestation in my environment, and the balance of the two was just so weird or unhealthy. But it also was built on a lot of secrecy, and when we have that level of secrecy within our families, and we are taught to not explore our feelings and not share our feelings, it becomes something that we have to break in order for us to move to next level. We can't move to next level without breaking that type of secrecy and the ability to really let it out and share it with people. And the old folks in your life would say, that's we keep family business in the family, or we don't share that outside of the house, or you bring it up and you get smacked on the lip, or don't you ever say that again. But in fact, what that is, those are the things we need to say, because that's the only way we could bring about healing and bring about the change that we need for ourselves. That it starts with us, and then eventually we move it over to our families, to our kids.
Yeah, then that's definitely how the transfer goes on and on and on. It's just so easy to say, this is how I was raised, and I came out fine. But we didn't necessarily come out fine. We just came out. So the pivotal
right.
moment, the pivotal moment would be, for me, as my children are grown, my pivotal moment was, I have the first child I had, he's about to be 28, said, well, I want to be a good parent. Help me to do the things that I felt like I missed from my parents. Help me to be who I need, be the person that my child needs, that maybe I felt like my parents did not. So you have to make a decision one way or the other. You decide to do nothing, which just leaves it like it is, or you decide, there was a change needed with this. So let this change start with me, and let's see. I don't know what to do with this change, but I want it to be different, look different, feel different, smell different than how it was.
Yes. And it's that, Trenace, it's that type of energy. When we go into anything that we do, anything we want to change, when we go into the energy that says, even if you're just feeling like you're experimenting it, let me experiment what this change will feel like. The change of loving myself, okay? Now I'm going to take it to us. The change of not believing all of those negative thoughts in your head that you were told when you were younger. The change of, you don't have to treat your child this way because your parents treated you this way. The change of, it's okay to invest in myself. It's okay to set boundaries. I mean, I could go down a list of change that people in our communities want to explore, but are afraid to because it's different. But if we look at it from a perspective of this change that we're getting ready to explore, or that I really want, let me just experiment. Let me just do it for a day, and then let me do it for 2 days. And you start small, and you experiment these changes until they become your habit.
Yes, it does take 21 days to create a habit. I was reading something that it takes more than 21 days. So we're going to go with 21 days to get
that's a start.
Some consistency. Right. We need to get consistency with that change, and that's so important. And even if, say, you start today and then tomorrow and then you skip a day, don't just give up. just
No.
try it again. Just try it again and see
Yes.
how that works.
Yes. Because you deserve it. I deserved it when I stepped up and chose me. I deserved it when I stepped up and decided to make the changes in my life that was going to take me and my family legacy to a different place. It didn't matter how comfortable and cushy my life was, and it looked pretty from the outside. I call that an escape life. You live that escape life when, you look good on the outside, you're shiny on the outside, but deep inside you are hurting, you have things that are just ripping you apart. And, we deserve that. You out there, all of your listeners deserve to do the work, to dig deep, deserve to know that they are more than enough, and they're more than all of those limiting beliefs that they hold on to. And they hold on to them, and it just becomes one perpetual cycle that goes on for generations. Just know, if nothing else, you walk away today knowing that you deserve it. You deserve that change.
Yeah, definitely. You want to, but the other thing that I learned when I was mentoring at high school with some girls, I learned that, there were a couple that actually dropped out because their parent or parents felt like they were trying to be better than the parent. And that right there is a limiting belief as well, because we all want our children to be better and do better than what we were, even at our highest level. We still want them to be more of who they are going to be. We have an expectation of that.
Yes, the better. I have a girlfriend, and she always say her daughter is the better version of her. She always say that, and she has pride, and she watches her daughter grow and move through phases of her life that she struggled with, right? And when her daughter just fly past that phase, she goes, I knew she was a better version of me. And the pride that comes with that is just so awesome. So absolutely, we want our children to be the better version of who we were. We want to be, and we must be. It's important. It's important for our families. It's important for society even, for you to want your child to level it up, to take it up, to move past you, surpass you, way past you, so that they can be the better version.
Let's talk about how writing your book was a pivotal point of your life and healing.
Yeah, so I've been writing for as long as I can remember, and I had stories and poems, but I used to write poetry, because even now when I write, if you read anything that I write, it has a very poetic flow to it. And it's typically because I used to love to write poetry and then go do spoken word. And my book, I always had the inkling to write it. I started writing it a long time ago, and then I left what I wrote on the computer and went about my life as if it never happened. When I say a long time ago, I'm talking in my late 20s or early 20s, a long time ago. And so this book, Live Your Truth and Break the Cycle, came about with not just the why of me wanting to leave my daughter and my son something bigger, and for them to always remember and see mom as something and someone who made an impact on the world and on people's lives, but because one day I was sitting there and I got a devastating call, and the call was about one of my family members who was also molested as a child, and he was one of my male family members, and it was done by a very close family member. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I was devastated. I couldn't even think. I didn't know who I was. I cried for nights upon nights. Just the idea of that happening to that family member, but happening by a family member, somebody I loved and trusted. And my mind was blown. It was so blown. And like anything else, when you're grieving, you go through the process of grief, right? And while I was at anger, I started writing because I had to let it out. Now, by the time I finished writing my book, I had moved past the anger. So, yes, some of my narratives and some of my verbiage was toned down, right? But that pushed me, and it was the pivotal part of that is that's the moment I no longer cared what people thought about me. I only cared about the impact I was going to make to others. I no longer cared that people were going to now know my story because I knew then that I wasn't defined by being a victim of sexual molestation. Like I told you, my husband said it best. You don't buy these things. And so I no longer cared about that. I'd released all of that, you know? And I also, the biggest part of it is that I did not care if my family, meaning my extended family, was upset at me for writing. It just became bigger than me, bigger than them, bigger than everything. It just became the moment where I knew that there were people out there in this world that were living under these types of constraints and living with these emotional baggages and moms who need to know that you need to watch the boyfriends and you need to watch the this. So it just became bigger than me. And I no longer cared if people knew my story. And I wanted people to know my story. And it became a pivotal change in my life. And the person you are talking to now and the person you see when you see me is the person on the after book. So, you know, the AB person, after book. Because before book, I was, you know, a little bit kind of, I would speak it, but I would speak it just to some friends and a few families, and I would speak it. After book, it was, I want the world to know because I want the world to heal.
That was so good. That was so good because that is such a secret. And because it's a secret, it allows it to continue to secretly happen.
Yes.
And just such a horrible secret. I like good secrets, like a good gift. That's a great secret, but not that type of secret.
Yes. Plan a secret about buying me some nice dark chocolate and some pretty roses. Plan a secret about a surprise party, you know, but not those. And in my household, Trenace, I do not accept secrets. That's one of the things, you know how I said I'm working to break those cycles. It's like we don't do secrets. We're going to talk about it. We're going to share it, and we're just going to deal with the fallouts because I don't want it to become a place where one little secret turns into a big secret.
Yes. So we are coming to the end. This has been such a good conversation. We still have a little bit more time to get some juicy stuff. So
yes, I'm enjoying this. I hope your listeners are too.
Yes, ma'am. So I want to talk. What do you think our listeners' takeaways should be from our conversation?
Okay. So I'm going to give them 3. And if one more creep in, it's because I'm on fire and I don't know how to stop sometimes when I'm on fire. But I'm going to start with self-awareness. A lot of times we walk around And we carry ourselves with us every single day. Every day you get up, you carry yourself with you. And that self that you're carrying with you, a lot of us don't do any audits or any inventory on what's really going on. We kind of know it, and we see the triggers, and we see the behaviors, and we see the things that's coming about, and you know something is wrong, but we don't dig enough to be self-aware. So self-awareness is key. That's the top one. That's the thing that you do and you can sit down and just write down the whys. Why do I react this way? Why am I this way? And ask the honest, truthful question, but most importantly, give yourself honest, truthful answers. And you can do this by yourself. So if they're creepy, weird, whatever you want to call it, guilty, uncomfortable things, it's okay. It's yours. Write them down. Keep it to yourself until you're ready to share it with others. Self-awareness is key. Walking away knowing to your core who you are. Then the next one is, once you do that self-awareness, is really look for the negative beliefs, the beliefs, that limiting beliefs that you've been carrying around all your life, the ones that people gave you and the ones you took on. And you start working on yourself and figuring out how to replace them. So, like I said, don't lose them because you don't want to find them, but how do you replace them? How do you replace those negative beliefs, right? And be honest with yourself. So the theme here is honesty, honest with yourself, because it's yourself and you deserve it. And then the other one is to learn how to forgive. And the reason why I'm giving you those three is because those are the three main ones I worked with myself to move myself out of that place to the place that and the woman I have become. Forgiveness. And listen, y'all, a lot of y'all think when people say forgiveness, we're talking about forgiving somebody else. But the forgiveness that I'm talking about today is forgiving yourself. Before we can learn to forgive anybody else in our lives for anything they've done to us, we have to learn how to forgive our own self. We have to be able to look at us, look ourselves in the mirror, and truthfully say, Stacy, I forgive you for. And the things that you're going to forgive yourself for, only you know what they are. But those are the things that you did in a very age-appropriate way, and I call it age-appropriate because a lot of things that we did then, we wouldn't do now because, one, we might not need to do them that way. We might have better understanding, and there's a lot of reasons why we don't need to do them that way. But forgiveness of yourself is the first form of forgiveness, and then it becomes easier for you to forgive people who have caused you pain. So self-awareness, replace those limiting beliefs, and forgiveness. Those are the three things I want you to walk away from today. Walk away with today.
Okay. So there is something big and special that you are doing in October. Could you share a little bit about the Up Level Your Legacy seminar?
Yes, thanks so much for bringing that up. So a part of my journey here is to reach as many people as I can, is to get people, because, people are going to come to me for coaching. Some people will read my book, Live Your Truth and Break the Cycle, but I want to be able to not only do one-on-ones, I want to touch an audience. So here in Charleston, I live in South Carolina, and in North Charleston on October 24th, I will be having and hosting a Up-Level Your Legacy seminar. It's a 3-hour seminar, 4 to 7 p.m., and this seminar is going to really dive in more about what we're talking about now, how to transform and change that legacy that you want to leave behind, and how to, stop living from your corrosive history and move into your constructive path. The date is October 24th, 2020. It's a Saturday evening from 4 to 7 p.m. I have a poster out there on my Instagram, which is my name, @StaceyHenryCarr. And, we're going to do everything in our powers as we organize it to make it conducive to the environment with the social distancing, seating, and so forth and so on. But this is an event that will take you even deeper. We're going to have some awesome speakers that is going to talk about up-leveling your money, up-leveling your mind, and up-leveling your body. So it's going to be a great event. October 24th, tickets will be on sale in July. So my social media and my website, StaceyHenry.com, will have that information.
So what is Stacey Henry Carr's next level movement?
So my next level movement is to continue to write, because writing is my healing power. So right now I write articles for Urban Sentinel, and my dear Trenace, you are on the cover of June. And
yeah,
I'm also writing some other books that I've already started. And so my next level is to continue with writing, because it is my healing power, and it's a way to put out to the world. And my speaking, look for me as I will be out there speaking for speaking events, to bring my message to a broader audience, and most importantly, me sitting here, if you want, solo one-on-one from a coaching perspective or as a hypnotherapist.
Great. And how can anybody reach out to you?
So I can be reached. I'm on social media by my name, Stacey Henry Carr. You'll find me on Instagram. You'll find me on Facebook. I also can be reached via my email, which is Stacey@StaceyHenryCarr.com. Stacey@StaceyHenryCarr.com. I am open to you inboxing me, DMs on my social media if anyone want further information or want any additional thoughts on what we talked about today.
All right. And I just want to thank everybody for rocking with us this afternoon. Be safe. Cover your mouth when you cough and sneeze. Go slow. And the ultimate act of self-love is to stay in the house, protect your family, and protect yourself from others and others from yourself. Join me next Saturday on Next Level with Trenace. And as I always say, I love you. Be authentic. Thank you for letting me help you be great. And see you next week. Goodbye for now.
Sublime. He makes me happy.